Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our weekly track roundup. My thoughts, my feelings, my emotions on a bunch of songs that have dropped over the past week or so, whether I loved them or hated them or fell somewhere in between. I'm talking about them, and they are linked down below, so you can check them out for yourself. That is the deal. So without any further ado, let's also mention our Turntable Lab link is down below there as well. If you want to use that to help out the channel, we get kickback from it. Our Patreon page obviously supports what we do too. Our YouTube Shorts page linked down below as well. And finally, a bit of a shout out before we get into all of the tracks. A piece of music from Claire Rousay. It's Austin that's recommending this and pushing it your way, actually threatening me with a knife off camera if I don't say this on screen. Claire's dropping an album called Sentiment in April, and it's her first for Thrill Jockey. The music's going in more of a slowcore singer-songwriter direction, but her collage emo ambient sound is still in the mix. So yeah, cool, dope. Link down below. Check it out. All right, let's get into the worst tracks of the week. We have a handful of those. We have a few. Starting off with Miss Madison Beer, whose new track, Make You Mine, is one of the blandest pieces of dance pop you will hear in a while, especially those verse vocals. They are sleepy as heck. I don't even know how I'm supposed to dance to this when I can barely stay awake on it. All right, let's move on from there. We have a new one from Hardy, Rockstar. God, he just cannot get off of like this cringe alt metal country, bro country, alt-rock combination that he's sort of hit upon with his last nightmare of an album. But yeah, he's still doing it and singing about being a rock star. Oh my God, the references on this art, AC/DC, Kiss, Kurt Cobain, so on and so forth. Limp Bizkit. Let's move on. Let's move on. We also have one from Sofago with Bear One Boss. Conscious is the title of it. It's just completely messy, mindless, auto-croon garbage with tons of goofy sound effects going on in the beat. Yeah, it's slop. It's total slop. Actually try to conceive of a song. That's all I can say. All right, let's move on to the tracks that I thought were meh. Wasn't crazy about them myself, but you might like them more than me. They are as follows, starting with Bam. New one from Kanye and Dolla, The Record, Vultures 1. It's out now. Talking, and once again featuring Northwest. I thought her performance was fun. I thought Dolla on the second half of the track was fine. It's just not a super cohesive song overall. It's got kind of a beat switch in the middle, and it just feels like two partially finished songs smashed together into something that's assumed to be a complete song when it's not really, honestly. Moving on from there, we have a new one from T-Pain, Dreaming. Immaculate vocal performance on this one. It's got a bit of a pop, rock, gospel fusion thing going on stylistically. Some of the production, especially the drums, does feel like a little flat and sterile. It's not like, the best mix you're going to hear in your life. But again, vocal performance and, those melodies and some of those harmonies are gorgeous. I really kind of loving, the heart that he's putting into this track. And, obviously branching off from a lot of the clubbier, poppier stuff that he's known for into something that's just a bit more passionate and dynamic and really kind of showing off those vocal chops that we know he has. All right, moving on from there, Melvins, legendary band. Melvins have a new record on the way, Tarantula Heart. We have our first taste of it, which comes in the shape of Working the Ditch. And it's not too bad of a single. I suppose the vocals do get a little grating after a while and doesn't have, the strongest progression or anything like that. But those riffs and drums sound heavy as hell. And that's what you want on a Melvins track. All right, next, Lemon Twigs. They don't know how to fall in place. It's our second taste of the band's forthcoming record. While I know their stuff is usually steeped pretty deeply in, a big mush of nostalgia, I would say that's almost to a fault on this new track over here. It's actually even maybe another layer separated in this case because, the style and sound of this track read like other bands who were kind of like, huffing that 60s nostalgia, but more recently, like of Montreal with some of their, older, pre-hissing fauna material. It's not too bad. I think it's kind of, got an interesting multi-phase progression to it and a lot of detail, but Snappy Song doesn't really kind of come out of the chaos of it all, to my ears anyway. But, again, this new album is on the way soon, and I'm surely going to be listening to this song multiple times over past this point, and maybe it'll grow on me. There's maybe some potential for that. All right, we also have a new one from Latto, Sunday Service. A few responses and shots to Ice Spice on this one, kind of given the recent controversy around, Latto being the one who was targeted in that, shit fart song that Ice Spice put out. I think it's kind of a bit of unnecessary drama, given that it's all over a random Instagram clip where Ice Spice was just in the background and it probably wasn't even done nefariously. It's kind of silly that Latto even has to respond, but she had some smart and fun bars on this one. It's not too bad of a track. I just think she kind of picked a very dime a dozen beat, and the vocal mix is riding super high. It's not quite the banger that I hoped it would be, but for the lane that she's in, Latto's pen game is a cut above of a lot of people, and I could say at least on that front she has stayed consistent. All right, moving on from there. We have a new one from the legend Cameron, Swizz Beatz on the production. The track, the vocals, the flow, it's all a little rough around the edges, but there's still kind of an exciting rawness about the writing and the performance that I will say there are some pretty vulgar bars here and there on the track too. Cameron is not softened in his old age, that is for sure, in terms of his, his tone. All right, moving on from there. The Black Keys hit us with a bit of a cover. It is a nice psychedelic soul fusion version presentation of the track I Forgot to Be Your Lover. It's not too bad. It's certainly better than some of the Ford Truck Month stuff that they've been putting out as of late, aesthetically and instrumentally. New album Ohio Players on the way soon. We have a new one from Casey Musgraves. It is a straightforward acoustic ballad with some of the most sterile vocal production I've heard on an acoustic cut in quite a while. Again, Deeper Well. Title of the album, title track, and some of the lyrics are cute. I like to wake and bake. Okay, that was paraphrasing. Some cute bars on this one, but there's something about it. Despite it being an acoustic track, despite it being a ballad, it sounds kind of uncanny valley and a little kind of, stiff and AI to an extent, which I didn't so much care for. All right, we have a new one from A Girl in Red. Shockingly, despite not really liking many tracks from the last Girl in Red record, I'm liking at least the instrumental on this new cut. I think the chorus is just kind of okay. The vocals don't really do too much for me, but, at least there's like a really kind of peppy groove to this one. And there's some kind of chaotic, explosive shots of instrumentation here and there on this track that make it a little more dramatic than some of the stuff on the last LP. Too Much is the title of it. And, maybe the next record, I'm doing it again, baby, will, kind of have something, interesting in store in some of the deeper cuts. All right, we have a new one from Faye Webster. We've really been getting like track after track after track, teaser after teaser from this forthcoming LP from her, that one from Little Yachty, I'm sure you guys might remember. This one is Feeling Good Today. It's kind of got an interesting slice of life vibe to it where the lyrics are kind of funny and not really going in any particular direction and just kind of mention a bunch of kind of funny and strange things happening throughout the course of, I suppose, a day or so. It's got some, very sweet guitar work. It's got, these layered vocal harmonies that are super like pitch shifted and controlled to the point where it sounds like just forcefully robotic. It does get a little grating after a while, and I wish there was more to the song progression-wise and chorus-wise, but I suppose it is a kind of a nice and interesting vibe, and I do think some of the lyrics are pretty funny. All right, we have a new one from the Decemberists. Burial Ground is the name of the track. It's not quite as dramatic or explosive or passionate as I typically like my Decemberists tracks to be, but it is kind of interesting that the band is almost doing this throwback 1960s sunshine pop folk thing with the tune, the burial ground, with like, the tambourine going crazy. It's not too bad. It's kind of a new vibe, new direction, I suppose, for them, and they kind of do it justice. It's maybe just not the fire that I typically like from the band's music. The drama that I enjoy from the band's music. All right, we have a new one from Kid Cudi and Denzel Curry. It is Black Ops. That is the title of the cut. And, it's fine. It's listenable. It's kind of a spacey trap cut with some decent flows. It's just not the fireworks that I would have expected or hoped lyrically from these two. But the thing is that they don't necessarily have complementary styles. You know what I mean? So Moo Man soundtrack, it's on the way. Just keep an eye out for it, I suppose. It's still cool that these guys crossed over. I'll say that. All right, we have a new one from Blue. Sunday is the title of this one. While the West Coast rapper doesn't really kind of put his best work forward here, it's just kind of like a loose, short, freestyle type cut. He also has a new project out, a new short project titled Royal Blue, which is on streaming services currently. That has a lot of great material on it, actually. From what I have heard, Blue is actually planning on having a really prolific year this year, dropping a lot of projects, dropping a lot of extras, just dropping a lot of material all around. So, if you're a fan of the guy, if you like underground West Coast hip hop, keep an eye out, keep an ear out. I certainly will, because it kind of seems like he's just going to be consistently dropping stuff throughout the year out of nowhere. All right, moving on from there, we have a new one from Blockhead, legendary underground hip-hop producer. He just dropped a record recently that was packed full of, great collaborations and features and crossovers, but from what I can see, he has another album on the way. Luminous Rubble is the title, but this one seemingly is going to be an instrumental hip-hop record, so just like instrumentals, just the beats, sir, just the beats. So we have our first taste of that now, and, it's not too bad. Scumlord is the title of it. It's got some great grooves, some cool synth work. It's, all around not too bad. Not the most thrilling beat work you're ever going to hear, but, the guy's a legend. He's a veteran, and it shows in his production. So, all right, moving on from there. What do we have next? Best tracks of the week. They are as follows. Here we go. Let's hit them. Yard Act. They just keep putting out great track after great track in the lead up to this new LP of theirs, Where's My Utopia. This one features Katy J. Pearson on the chorus with some pretty catchy vocal licks. When Laughter Stops is the title of it. It's got some dramatic semi-spoken word vocals on the verses, lots of dancey post-punk grooves. They're certainly one of the best bands out of the UK kind of vibing with this sound, that's for sure. And I think this next record is going to kind of leapfrog their previous one. At least that's what my hopes are. All right, we have a new one from Stove God Cooks, who I'm sure you've heard a lot of if you're a fan of Griselda. He's had a lot of placements on records from, West Side Gun and the like. And he's got a new single out, Melo, Chip, and a Brick is the title of this one. And he's just like going full on wild, vocally eccentric, just totally off the fucking wall with some of the braggadocio, with some of the drug talk, with some of the ad-libs, with just some of the weird vocal detours and just random shit he's throwing out throughout this track. Great beat from a, conductor on the track too. So, I don't know if he's gearing up for a new LP. Most likely so, but if that's what he's doing, he's putting his best foot forward. All right, we have a new old one from the band Sonic Youth, who have just kind of come out with this, little like live archival project, Walls Have Ears. So, down below, I've just kind of linked the song Kill Your Idols, one of the band's earlier tracks. If you're a fan of their work, And it's just like a live recording of the track. It's just kind of wild, raw sound that they're bringing forward on this archival release. And, if you're a big fan of the group, especially, given the strange and experimental turns that their live performances would typically have taken, you're probably going to want to give a listen to this. So, just making people aware that this new little project, just kind of out of the blue, is here. All right. Moving on from there, Little Simz. If you guys follow the channel closely, I've already reviewed this EP, Drop 7. We're just going to link the song, the opener, Mood Swings, to the record down below, just as an additional reminder that the record is out. It's great, and it's got a lot of great tracks on it. So, all right. Shygirl, Club Shy, has dropped this new project with a series of producer collabs that kind of go in more of a dance pop direction, clubby direction. This one features SG Lewis. Mr. Useless is the name of the track. And yeah, it's a banger. Just really good quality, smooth, sleek, kind of early to mid 2000s dance pop. That's, you know, quite fiery and fun. So make sure to give that a listen to if that's your cup of tea. All right, a couple more. Nardo Wick, really low-key, kind of understated type rapper who I'm not typically a giant fan of, but this very fun multi-phase track has a weird Ice JJ Fish feature on the front end and really fun tongue-in-cheek feature from Sexyy Red on the back end. So, you know, between all of that, I feel like it's a fun track. It's pretty much a winner. So bop and a half, I'll say that. All right, moving on from there. Maggie Rogers, who, I mean, if you guys have seen previous coverage of her music, I'm no big Maggie Rogers fan, but this new track of hers, Don't Forget Me, is a good quality Americana cut with some killer vocals. Maggie Rogers is singing on this new track. I mean, I typically have never really been sold by her vocal performances, but she's like really going off on this new track in a way that I hope she just continues to on future material. This is, you know, some really good stuff, vocally really good stuff. Even if it's not breaking the Americana mold, this is some good stuff. All right, another one from Iron and Wine, new album on the way. Also a project, you know, Iron and Wine, classic indie folk project. It's never been one of my favorites. I've always been a little bit more of like, you know, a Fleet Foxes type guy, that sort of thing. But man, this new song like really hit for me. You never know. Loving not only the lavish indie folk instrumentation, but the interesting progression of the track, including this kind of chaotic bridge with, you know, these shouting no vocals in the background that are kind of gripping and just like very unlikely for the genre. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of things about this track that just kind of struck me as a strange, beautiful, and special all at once. And it's really got me looking forward to the new record, even though looking forward to a Iron and Wine album in this decade was something that I did not have in my, you know, 2020s bingo card, but here we are. All right, a couple more. Dev Lemons has a new one out that's going in kind of a distorted lo-fi rock direction. Give Mama a Hug is the title of it. It's pretty fun and unhinged. And finally, just a quick shout out to Caroline Polachek, who has come through with a new version of the song Butterfly Net, which if you loved her last LP, you remember. But this version now has Wise Blood vocally in the mix, who is adding actually quite a bit to the vibes. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have to throw your guys' way. Thank you very much for watching. That was the weekly track roundup. Hopefully you got some good recommendations out of this video. You're the best. I will see you guys in the next one. Anthony Fantano, Weekly Tracks Forever.